Hello again, folks. Welcome to another episode of Mad Money with your host, MaddAddam. Sorry for the extended hiatus between episodes. Been really busy, but we'll get to some of that in a few minutes. So on this episode, I want to again talk about my favorite token, OST. There hasn't really been a whole lot going on in the news with crypto in general that I've found. There have been a few interesting nuggets here and there since my last video, but just to cover a few minimal things. Consensus 2018 happened a few weeks ago. Nothing really big came out of that as far as what people were predicting based on previous years. They were saying that like last year after Consensus, there was a huge rise in Bitcoin and alts. And we didn't really see that this year, which is totally understandable because we are currently in a rather bearish market. But there was one interesting thing that came out of Consensus for, at least for me, of interest to me, and hopefully to everyone else interested in OST or interested in tokenization in general. And that has to do with one of OST's early partners, Zain, X-A-I-N, Zain. So Zain was at Consensus mostly because they are partnered with Porsche to do a lot of the under the hood smarts for Porsche's smart cars using some of their AI technology and blockchain stuff. One interesting takeaway from that, though, if you look at OST's partners page and look at the blurb about Zain, they specifically mention that besides AI work, Zain is looking to work on ride-sharing programs with regards to using OST. So during Consensus, Zain specifically mentioned their intentions to implement a ride-sharing program with Porsche. They didn't say anything specifically about OST, but one can presume that if they partnered with OST and have intentions of doing ride-sharing with OST, and they're doing ride-sharing with Porsche, then there's a good chance of that ride sharing with Porsche using OST. So that's really interesting. I got really fired up about that when I heard about it. We'll see what comes out of it. There are a few new partners with OST since the last time we talked, but not going to talk too much about them because it's as far as me and the community are concerned, it's good news, but it's not super exciting hype news. So adding new partners, awesome. Doing good things, it's all good. But just this morning we had an AMA with the CEO and one of the founders, Jason Goldberg, and Ben, who's one of the, if not the lead developer on the OST program. And there were some interesting tidbits as takeaways from that. I'm just going to go over my little list here of things to talk about. So what's been keeping me most busy recently is the alpha projects. So OST is still in its testing phase before they launch on mainnet. So they're doing a lot of alpha testing for their APIs and their network and everything, making sure everything's completely good to go for when they launch on mainnet. So the second round of alpha testing has to do with the PoC challenge, and PoC means proof of concept. So essentially what they said is sign up if you're a developer or a company that wants to develop on OST and develop a proof of concept within a time span using OST, write an app or a website or what have you, and in that have means for users to interact with your app and trigger blockchain transactions and calls. So I worked with one of my fellow community members in Estonia, John, whose username is Shinto2000, sorry. And he and I made a website. Well, he made a website and I helped him tokenize it. So it's the Read It program, and I'll link to it in the comments down below. But essentially we created a platform where children are incentivized to increase their reading comprehension. It is a first step in solving the literacy problem that the world faces. Now, it's just a proof of concept, so we had an idea, and we implemented the idea in a proof of concept and a minimally viable product, an MVP. So it was rather bare bones, still slightly polished, but it allowed us to plug a website into the blockchain extremely easily just using the API. We didn't use any SDKs, just used the API in JavaScript. And it was a little bit of work because the platform that we chose to build on, Wix, it did not allow the full Node.js library suite. So I had to do some trial and error to get the API calls to work, but it works. So we have proved the ability to implement blockchain on Wix websites using the OST kit. I think that's a pretty big deal. One of my other buddies in Estonia, Scott, he's the one that's been helping me edit these videos. He and a team of more professionals, I guess. He has a whole company built up around it now. They developed Kid Token, which is similar to our Read It program, but it's essentially a tokenized allowance system for children, where children can earn tokens for any arbitrary task that parents assign to them. So as an adult or parent, you can give your children tokens for mowing the lawn or doing their homework or doing the dishes or just being a good person, what have you. And they intend to build it all the way up into an actual working product come beta launch or mainnet launch with a working built-in store where you can actually spend your tokens that you earn in the ecosystem. So that's really exciting. There's a bunch of others. There's about 60 or so PoCs that finished the program, and I'll link to an actual playlist of all the videos that showcase all of the projects. It's quite interesting to see all of the use cases being implemented in a PoC. But that I've been really busy with that. I've been spending all my free time plus finishing that up. And now that it's over, I'm working towards Alpha Phase 3, which is going to be very similar to Phase 2. There's no official outline on it yet, but based on a lot of mentions in the main channel and during the AMA today, we know that it's going to be very similar to Alpha 2, being that it's going to have a PoC part of it, and on top of the OST kit and the APIs, they recently released their PHP SDK. So anyone working in PHP has a native library to be able to pull in all of the requisite functions to really simply generate API calls or blockchain transactions just using a PHP library. So that's really cool. They also have a JavaScript SDK. They're working on a Java SDK, and I presume they'll have several other languages as well. Now, some of us in the community are generating our own SDKs. I know there's a few on GitHub that are available. If you're interested, drop a question down below. I'll find links for you, or join us in Estonia. I'll drop a link to that Telegram channel as well. But PoC's going to be awesome. Alpha 3, it's really exciting because we're also going to have presumably the ability to code smart contracts on the branded token chains. And that's really going to add a lot of flexibility to some of these projects. Along with the smart contracts, there's also going to be potentially the ability to code non-fungible tokens. Now, once branded tokens have the ability to be non-fungible, you can do things like implement your own CryptoKitties type program. And that's going to be really neat to play with. I actually have ideas to create my own little 2D RPG based around OST. So I don't know if I'll be able to get to that in Alpha 3, but I think it'll be a fun project. Another thing that OST announced is their Mosaic project, which is really exciting. Mosaic, I'm not sure if it's something that has been in works for a while, but I'm pretty sure nobody's known about it until just recently. And Mosaic is essentially implementing proof of stake on OST. We don't have the full details on that yet. It's mentioned and talked about a bit at a low level in the AMA, which I will link to that as well. The video is up on YouTube. But essentially, Mosaic will allow OST holders to stake their OST and earn passive income, just like most other proof of stake systems. So that's going to be really cool and exciting for holders like me. Talked about that. Oh, so another thing that Jason mentioned in today's AMA, and it's a little bit controversial, or at least has shown to be in some of the conversations I've had since the AMA, but he mentioned that there's a company that he's in talks with, as yet unannounced, that wants to tokenize. They were originally planning to do their own ICO, but based on regulations and cost and difficulty and whatnot, they're looking at possibly coming on with OST to tokenize using branded tokens. But their question to Jason was, if in the future our branded token economy is successful enough and grows enough, can we take that branded token economy and turn it into our own token, our own platform via an ICO? Jason said resoundingly, yes. We do not want to limit anyone's creativity in use of OST. So that adds a lot of potential for some of these larger companies that may be looking into OST as a tokenization platform. If they want their own brand, but also want their own tech, but they don't want to put up all of the money to test the waters themselves from the start, they can build an economy based on OST, which is going to be miles and miles cheaper than doing their own ICO. They can build their economy. They can proof all of their implementation into their own applications and such, and then spin it off into their own ICO and have their own token at the end. So that's really big. I think that's more overlooked than it should be. That's going to, I think, bring a lot more bigger companies into the fold of partnerships. So that's a lot of what's going on in OST right now. I won't go into some of the personal things that I'm dealing with as far as my work and why outside of the PoCs I've been away from the camera, but I'm glad I'm back. I'm glad that you all are still here watching, and look forward to more videos to come. I need recommendations for topics, please. I want to do some more research. I want to cover more things, but I want to give you, the community, the audience, what you want. So tell me what you want me to cover. Other than that, I will just be plugging OST some more. And I think for phase 3, I think I really want to do a series on my progression through my own project and highlight how I'm working through implementing and integrating OST into whatever I choose to develop. So I think that'll be really interesting for me, but also useful for the community in showcasing how straightforward and simple it is to take the OST kit and their APIs and SDKs and turn it into a real product that has your own branded tokens running behind it. So that's all for now. And if you haven't already subscribed, please do so. Leave some comments. Let me know what you're thinking about. Let me know what you think of the episode. Drop me some suggestions. Hop into the Telegram channel just to chat. I love seeing new faces and having conversations. So please hit me up in there. My username's MaddAddam99. Same with here on YouTube and Twitter and everywhere else. So find me, talk to me, and I'll see you later. Peace.